book of Proverbs 24:11 declares that we are to deliver those who are being taken away to death, to hold back those who are staggering to the slaughter. I'm not trying to be rude to you, I just need to address the masses.
Well, I'm trying to have a conversation with you right now. Everybody see your sign and they read it. I just want to know what's up.
I'm here to exhort those who
have a little bit of respect.
Well,
like you could do this after service.
Well, I need to do it now because people are ignoring this.
What are you getting out, dude?
Here. Another one too.
So what is the website kind of exhort us to do?
Well, to take action, to go where the children are being murdered,
right.
To go to your legislatures and to demand of them, not ask, but to demand of them that they stop regulating the slaughter of children, that they abolish it.
Yeah.
And the simple reason why I'm here is because for 48 years we've been allowing babies to be murdered. The vast majority of churches have done little to nothing to actually obey God and love our most needy, our most helpless neighbor as ourselves. We think that it's enough to pray, to vote for Republicans who do nothing, to drop money in a baby bottle once a year, to throw money at organizations. And I'm saying, no, that's pathetic. No, if we believe abortion is murder, if we believe people are being murdered, let's act like it. If our neighbor's house was burning down, we wouldn't say, oh, I'm just going to pray about that, but I'm not going to lift a finger. But that's exactly how we respond when not just one or just a few people are in a burning building, but when thousands of babies are murdered every day. That's how we respond is, I'm just going to pray about that. I'm not going to do anything.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So if your neighbor's house is on fire, what would you do?
I'd probably go over there and try to get them out of there.
Yeah. Would you call the fire department?
I would, but I'm not going to wait on them to save them.
I understand.
What would I do in that situation? I would do what I thought needed to be done to save them.
Yeah.
But that's not what the vast majority of professing Christians do for thousands of babies. They're not in a burning building, but we know when and where they're being murdered.
Yeah.
Or if by that I mean we can look it up if we don't know. But a lot of people do know, and they just choose to do nothing. Yeah. And that's sin. That's disobedience before Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing for 48 years. Is abortion is murder, but I'm not going to act like people are being murdered, because that will cost me something. And that's why people ask, why do I come to a pro-life church? Well, 48 years of Planned Parenthood murdering children, of the abortion industry murdering people with empty sidewalks in front of the abortion mills. What does that tell you? It tells me the churches don't care. And that's what I was saying around the country. I'm a traveling street preacher. I've seen empty sidewalks or near empty sidewalks where the churches don't want to go where their neighbors are being murdered, and that's sin. Just plain and simple, it's sin. It's disobedience. We can't just say, well, it's your calling, it's his calling. No, it's all of our calling. To love our neighbor, to save those who are being mass murdered. We know when and where. We just choose not to love them because it will cost us something. And we're living in disobedience. We're no different than the Christians in Nazi Germany. We're doing the same thing they were, that we're singing a little louder, we're doing nothing. And I would hope that the people here would appreciate me being here. So far I have not seen that. I would have appreciated this being in front of my churches years ago because my churches did nothing about this.
But I'm pretty sure most churches are talking about this situation, so why not take this to somewhere where they're not talking about it?
Most churches talk about this? Not that I've seen.
Right?
Well, even those that do talk about it, they don't really do much about it. I know because
doing this at a church.
I know.
It's basically saying that you do not believe this, or it's just a bad representation.
I think more the concern is less that not that we disagree with what you're saying. I think it's just the graphicness of the images, which I understand is kind of the point. But I'm more concerned for small children that are coming and seeing things that they don't, that their maturity isn't ready to understand.
Well, you assume that. I've seen children.
Well, I have children. Do you have children?
No, but if I did, I'd have them holding these signs.
That's great.
Because I don't want children. I wouldn't want my own children growing up in a culture where I don't want them to see this.
Absolutely.
But I want them to be okay with it happening to other children.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
But
what I'm saying is I think pornography is wrong. I'm not going to show it to my children.
This isn't pornography. This is vastly different.
Well,
don't compare it. Don't even bring pornography.
Okay. What I'm saying is that there are images that are inappropriate for children.
I don't believe this is the case.
Okay.
I believe if we're going to raise children in a culture,
so you're making the decision for parents.
I know many parents that do this with their children.
That's great.
But if we're gonna raise our children in a culture that does this to children, we should not want to hide their eyes from it. If we're going to tolerate this, and we are tolerating it.
You shouldn't protect children from anything.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying don't protect them from what's happening to people in this culture, mass murder, because they can have compassion.
Absolutely.
I've seen children have compassion on these children, on little human beings who are murdered.
And they should.
And I see adults that want to hide it from them.
I think that you're miscommunicating, misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm not trying to hide it from my children. I teach them the value of life. I teach them that every human being that's created has value because they're endowed by God. They're created in His image, and so they have value. So absolutely, like the extermination of them is wrong.
Then I'm here to help you.
Right, but I don't need to show them the image for them to understand what that is. Does that make sense?
A picture communicates to them what words will never communicate to them.
Right, but what I'm saying is their maturity level, their minds aren't necessarily able to comprehend what they're seeing in a way that makes it useful.
Well, I mean, even young children can comprehend this. They say that's a baby,
right.
But what happened to the baby? They can understand.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't, there's going to be children everywhere you go. If I were to hide this, if I were to not show this where there's going to be children, I couldn't show it anywhere. And that's not an option because Scripture commands Christians to show the bloody city her abominations.
That's our responsibility as parents.
But I'm not saying you all, but most parents are not doing that. They're shirking their responsibility, so I have to do it.
What's your name?
Nicholas.
Nicholas, I'm Justin. Nice to meet you.
Jesse.
Hey, if I can butt in, the Bible also talks about how children are made, but we don't show our children, pictures of people having sex. It's
I just debunked that. This isn't pornography. It's not people having sex. It's people who are murdered.
Right, I understand that, and that's your opinion too. But we got children here.
Well, they can have compassion. Are there any adults here that aren't going to use children as an excuse not to show the bloody city her abominations?
Right, but we're also not showing them murder's wrong, generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not out here showing pictures of people being murdered.
Yeah.
Well, but murders of born people in this country, it's not sanctioned by every state, every governor, every mayor. This is sanctioned by every single state. That's why I need to show it. Because people are generally against shootings, school shootings, but there are so many people, especially in this state, that say that's okay to do to a child, that say this is okay to do to a child. There are even, I'm not saying here, but there are professing Christians that say this is okay to do this to a child. So I need to show it. And I'm not going to stop showing it until we stop tolerating it. And I mean, literally, that may sound harsh, but I do this because the churches are okay with this, with their silence.
Let me ask you a question. If everyone here agreed, every single person agrees that abortion is wrong, would you take these photos and leave? Because now you have your own consent.
Because I know that you believe abortion is wrong. That's why I'm here, because I would hope that you all would care.
Right.
And not say, well, please get this out of here. We don't want to be disturbed. We don't want the children to see it. No, say, thank you for being here. What more can we do? Mm-hmm. That is a biblical response. Judge it, and just
that's why I asked. I said, what does the website kind of implore us to do?
Well, you can look at it and you can read just what it's talking about. I mean, it's giving you a biblical mandate to not do as the religious leaders did in the parable of the Good Samaritan. You see your neighbor dying in the ditch, and what did the religious leaders do? I'm not gonna do that.
So you're saying just because just today during church service we're not responding to you, that we don't do it in our everyday life, or that I'm not a part of a pro-life protest, or that I do support pro-life clinics? Are you judging me off of just one day? Or
no, I don't. Individually, I don't know what any of the people here do. I'm saying generally.
Yeah.
Most churches that I've been to and I've gone to,
okay,
they don't do anything.
Right?
They don't do anything.
A generalization.
I mean, I have a little idea what y'all do here because I've already talked to a few people.
Yeah.
And what I've been told so far, it's not going to cut it. It's not.
So is it to your standards or God's standards?
Let's just act like people are being murdered, and what the Bible says to deliver them.
Are you not willing to leave until it's up to your standards or God's standards?
Well, it's God's standards. My standards mean nothing.
So you're the only one to interpret what God's standards are for abortion, or what we're to believe about abortion.
Well, it's what your preborn neighbors need. They don't need people to go to a march once a year or drop money in a baby bottle.
But I'm saying,
They
are you
need consistent
defining
action.
what people need, or are you letting the Lord define what people need?
Well, I'm just telling them what the preborn do need, because I go to the abortion mills all the time, and that's not what's written.
What do you need?
What's that?
What do they need?
They need us to go there to where they're being murdered and speak up for them. I go to, like I said, I go to abortion.
You know who my mom is?
No, I don't.
So you know who I am?
You just told me your name, which
yeah.
did I
So my
just?
mom actually runs a pro-life camp, and every Saturday they go in front of abortion clinics and they pray for them. And we're heavily a part of praying for those people as well. So you're telling me that I was asking you to clarify if it's your needs or God's needs of what's okay for you. So it sounds a little bit more like you're not satisfied until it's met to your needs. Is that
I'm not satisfied till this is over, till this is abolished. And with what you just told me about your mom, you should be thankful I'm here.
I'm grateful for you, for sure, and for your hair. But what I'm not stoked on is this is an image of murder for children's eyes to see, and your mind is like a video recording. Whatever you see, you can't unsee. There are so many things that as a kid that I saw growing up that I wish I didn't see.
Well, maybe if we're going to keep tolerating this as a culture, we need to be haunted. We need to lose sleep over this.
But that's what I'm saying is,
right?
I was asking you if everyone here agreed that this is wrong, and they agree with you, would you then pack up and leave?
Not if they just agree with me. Where's the action? Most people agree, but where's their action?
So then what do you need from us and everyone here for you to be satisfied in your needs?
Go to where your neighbors are being murdered.
So you want us to leave church right now and go?
Well, I don't think they're being murdered right now, because most abortion mills aren't open on Sundays. A few are.
Okay.
But tomorrow, go to where they're being murdered, and go to the legislature. And this also goes into that, abolish human abortion.
And then you'll be satisfied.
Well, it's not about me being satisfied. It's what do the preborn need? They need us to go to where they're being murdered. They need us to go to the legislature, and like the persistent widow that nagged the wicked judge. You know what I'm talking about? To death. We need to be like that persistent widow for our preborn neighbors, and not just write a letter once a year or make a phone call or email once a year. We need to be there all the time.
Right.
And there's enough professing Christians in this country that we can do that.
So what about people who have normal jobs and we can't be doing it all the time?
Well, that's what I'm saying is we can divide it. Say I can't be there Monday, I can't be there Wednesday or Saturday, but I can be there Tuesday and Thursday.
Then that's not all the time, though, right?
Well, what I'm saying is, if Christians will actually, obey God, we don't have to do it like every single day. We can split it up for those who are busier, those who have more time. They can go there, maybe 3 times a week.
For sure. So
and so we can do it. We can.
Where are you getting these needs from? Is this your definement of the needs that they need, or who's defining these needs?
I'm going off what I've seen. I'm going off at abortion mills.
We're going back to what you need to be satisfied from us, right? This is your needs.
It's what the preborn need.
Right, but you're defining the preborn's needs. Yeah. Who's determining?
Well, I mean, 48 years. This still goes on. Obviously, we're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Obviously. 48 years.
So can I ask you a question then? What about like dissension in the church? What about rape? What about molestation? That's wrong too, right? I think that's equally wrong, right?
But it's not sanctioned by the government. It's not supported by people in this country.
Right. So it's state to state. Some states legalize abortions and other states are illegal.
Actually, most states, every state has legalized abortion. Every state.
Every state across the board.
Every state.
Is this a new legislation or? Is it a new legislation?
No, it's legal to murder your babies in every state in this country. Every state.
Okay.
There is no state where you can't murder your baby.
Got it. So whether it's legal or not, people are still doing it, right? Like if murder.
Well, yeah. I mean, people are still going to rob banks even though it's illegal.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
But most people see bank robbery as wrong. They see rape as wrong. But with this, people think this is okay because the Supreme Court has said it's okay. So I mean,
I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
So I mean, and our level of priorities is way down here with loving our neighbor as ourselves. Most professing Christians that I've seen, they say, well, I know abortion is murder, but I got other things to do. Because I ask people to join me at the abortion mills on the streets, and I always hear, well, I got other things to do. It's like, well, so do I, but this needs to be a priority if you're a Christian. It should be a priority. If it's not, then are you a Christian? And I mean, the reason I go to churches is because, I mean, 48 years tells me that the churches are really they're at peace with baby murder.
Are you met with a little bit more of like more kind of a push away or arm's length away, or are you met with more welcoming arms at most churches you go to? If I can ask you that question.
Pushed away.
Yeah.
Hostility.
So maybe that might be a thing for you to be like, okay, your message is clear. I love your message. It's just the way that it's coming across is a little harsh, especially for children.
Well,
so I'm saying, what if
48 years of baby murder is pretty harsh.
I understand that. Yeah.
I can't. I mean, it's hard to be as harsh as this is.
Yeah.
I need to be harsh.
Yeah.
But
there's truth and love, right? So if you're speaking the truth, there needs to be love with it. So I'm saying, if you're met majority of the time with kind of pushed away arms, maybe you might want to change it up, because we love what you're standing for and your message.
They oppose it because most of them aren't Christians, I don't think.
Hey, I could honestly speak for a majority of people that I know here are against abortion. But
what do they do
the
about it?
message is conveyed.
I mean, I've heard some of what they do.
This is what is. That's between us and the Lord. You know, what you do in secret or even in public is between you and the Lord. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, your judgment between what you and the Lord do. Christians are here to encourage each other to do the right things, but forcing it on people.
Well, maybe it's time that it's forced on people because people are okay with this happening with their silence. So it's time to force it.
We're also thinking about, like, we're talking about fruit, right? Abortion is a fruit of sin. Agreed?
It is
a wicked and wretched heart, right? Like, people abide in abortion because they're broken, right?
Well, people murder the babies because there's
sin in their heart.
They have murder in their hearts.
Right, and so I think and I understand that, like, I'm not disagreeing at all that this is the high point issue of the last 50 years, right? And,
we need to act like it.
But I was like, but what I'm saying is that, like, you don't cure malaria by swatting mosquitoes, right? What you do is you dig out the swamp. And so what we're focused on is reviving people's hearts, man. Is introducing them to the love of Jesus Christ that'll transform their life and prevent them from wanting to participate in this.
Yeah, I preach the gospel and I do this. We can do both. We need to do both.
We are doing both. What I'm saying you're saying that.
Grateful this is here.
I understand that but what you're saying is that we're not doing enough.
Most churches are not doing enough.
Right. And so, but who's determining what's enough?
Well, the preborn who are having their arms and legs ripped out their bodies and their skulls are being crushed. They determine what's enough. And
so what are they saying? What should we be doing?
Help me. I'm being ripped to pieces. Save me so I'm not butchered to death. That's what they're saying. And most Christians say, I'm sorry, but I got other things to do. Literally, that's what most professing Christians say, and that's pathetic. It's embarrassing.
This goes back to, I think, what James is saying too, is like, what is enough? And I think your definition of enough may be not the same as what we're doing, because again, you don't know all the.
Well, as a preborn child, what's enough? As they're having their body ripped into pieces.
Can we take a conversation over here?
Both gave each other frames filled with pictures from our first.
It's just easier. And so, obviously, I know you're kind of doing your first human right type thing. But I mean, they have children here. You have graphic photos and stuff like that. They don't want you here. However, I told them.
What?
I said they don't want you.
Oh, they made that clear. Yes.
Okay. Are you willing to leave?
No, I'll be leaving soon, but at the moment, no.